Dark chosen ones, avoid these 5 hidden vibration traps. You were never meant to be like the others. That's not just a phrase meant to soothe you. It's a truth that the universe etched into your soul long before you took your first breath. But here's the paradox: being chosen doesn't mean you're free. In fact, the more powerful your destiny, the more invisible traps are set along your path, especially if you're what we call a dark chosen one. Not dark in the sense of evil, but in the sense of depth, mystery, shadow, resistance, and resilience. You're the kind of soul forged in storms, not sunlight. But that also means you're walking through a world that will always misunderstand you, and worse, one that wants to lower your vibration in ways you don't even see. And if you fall into these traps, even unknowingly, your power doesn't just get delayed. It gets redirected, distorted, and sometimes completely locked away. The first trap is subtle, and that's what makes it deadly. It's the trap of false isolation. You've felt different since childhood, haven't you? While others laughed freely, you were often the observer. While they fit in, you dissolved into the background, questioning, sensing, seeing. And over time, that made you retreat. But here's the danger: when you start to believe that your path requires isolation, you lose something essential. Don't confuse sacred solitude with emotional self-imprisonment. We often tell ourselves, "No one understands me, so I must walk alone." But what if that belief is exactly what keeps you from meeting the few who actually could? You see, darkness speaks in silence, but shadow heals in connection. When was the last time you asked, with honesty, am I isolating to grow, or hiding because I'm afraid to be seen? That question alone might break your prison wall.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second trap is more seductive. It's the vibration of righteous anger. We've all felt it. You see the lies in the world. You see how others manipulate, betray, wear masks. And you think, this is why I'll never be like them. You feel it burn in your chest like a sword of justice. But here's the bitter truth: that very anger becomes your anchor. Anger makes you feel powerful, but it secretly chains you to the frequency of your enemies. It's the ultimate irony: you become what you hate in the name of fighting it. The universe doesn't respond to your emotions, it responds to your vibration. If your anger is louder than your clarity, you will only attract more chaos to fight. The real power, it's not in proving them wrong. It's in becoming so elevated that they no longer even exist in your world. Can you imagine how light you would feel if you released even half of the battles you've been carrying in your chest? Now, we move to the third and perhaps most hidden trap: the illusion of waiting for the sign. You've probably said it or felt it. I'm just waiting for the right time, the right energy, the right moment from the universe. But let me tell you something very few dare to say out loud. Waiting for a sign is often just fear dressed up in spiritual clothing. You already know the sign. It was the moment your life fell apart. The moment you realized you didn't fit into any system made for ordinary people. The moment you cried on the floor, not knowing who you were anymore. That was the sign. So why are you still waiting? We like to delay action because action means risk and risk means pain. But what if not acting is the pain that never ends? The hidden trap of spiritual inertia makes you feel like you're being wise and patient, when in fact you're being drained by delay. I'm not saying act without thought, but you must move, even if the first step is trembling. Because energy only responds to energy. The universe can't direct what you refuse to set in motion. Here's a trap that lives deep in the subconscious, and it can sabotage even the most awakened beings: the vibration of being addicted to your wounds. We don't like to admit this. We think we've healed, or that our pain makes us wise, and yes, in many ways it does. But ask yourself this: Have you built your identity around your pain? Has it become your story, your justification, your shield? Because if it has, you're not healing, you're rehearsing. Every day you relive it, retell it, re-energize it. And the most dangerous part, you confuse being deep with being hurt. You start to believe that being a dark chosen one means being broken, burdened, or endlessly suffering. That's not truth. That's trauma pretending to be a personality. Your pain may have been your portal, but it's not meant to be your permanent address. So I ask you, gently but firmly, what are you still holding on to that's already trying to leave your life? Are you brave enough to feel joy, or has sorrow become safer? And now, the fifth trap, the one that disguises itself as spiritual wisdom, it's the vibration of superiority. This is the most silent poison of all, because as you grow in awareness, as you see what others don't, it's easy to look down without meaning to. To think, I'm more conscious, or they're still asleep. But here's the paradox. Every time you think you've risen above someone, you've actually fallen. Because judgment is a lower frequency, even if it wears a spiritual robe, you're not here to be better. You're here to remember who you are. And who you are was never separate from anyone. We all hold the same divine essence, some just remember it sooner. Others are simply lost in the same maze you once wandered through. So instead of superiority, choose service. Instead of ego, choose empathy. Because the real sign of ascension isn't how much you know. It's how deeply you can love those still stumbling in the dark. If you've felt even one of these traps resonate, know this, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're awakening. Darkness isn't evil. It's a space of power if you know how to walk through it with awareness. But awareness alone isn't enough. You must act on that awareness. The real question isn't, am I being tricked by these vibrations? It's, what am I willing to release to rise into my true frequency? And maybe, just maybe, you're not here to escape the dark. You're here to master it. Not for ego, not for glory, but because somewhere in the unseen there are others waiting to see what's possible. Waiting to see if someone can rise without denying their shadow. Waiting to believe that freedom doesn't mean escaping the world, but transforming it with a different kind of fire. The fire beneath stillness, why you can't fake a high vibration. You can't fake frequency. Not in the spiritual realm, not in this dimension, not in the silence of your own soul. And yet we try. We post the affirmations, we wear the crystals, we say the right mantras. We talk about letting go and healing and manifesting, and still, deep down, we feel that ache, don't we? That friction between who we pretend to be and what we actually carry. This is the hidden burden of the dark chosen one. We're not just battling the world, we're battling the temptation to lie to ourselves. Because here's the raw truth, most won't admit your vibration isn't shaped by your words, but by your wounds. And unless you face those wounds with rawness, honesty, and humility, all the surface-level high vibes in the world will be like perfume sprayed on a decaying soul. It might mask the scent for a while, but energy doesn't lie. And so the fire beneath stillness is this: your power begins when you no longer fear being empty. You see, most people chase light because they're terrified of their own shadows. But the dark chosen ones were different. We've tasted silence so deep it hums. We've sat in rooms where nothing moved but breath. And in that void, we realize something most never dare to face. It's not the darkness that hurts us. It's our resistance to it. Stillness is not a performance. Stillness is death to the ego and rebirth to the soul. And yet, we try to look spiritual instead of being stripped by spirit. But the universe will always respond to who you really are beneath all the spiritual masks. It knows when you're still angry while pretending to forgive. It knows when you're still desperate while preaching surrender. That's why your manifestations keep failing. That's why your energy feels heavy. Because the frequency you broadcast always bows to the frequency you believe in your bones. I've been there. Maybe you have too. Sitting in meditation saying you've let go but secretly checking your phone to see if they texted. Telling others you're not afraid of being alone, yet begging the universe in the night not to forget you. These contradictions aren't weaknesses, they're invitations. Invitations to drop deeper into the truth that you're still healing, that you're not done, that you never have to pretend again. Because when you stop performing stillness and begin embodying it, your vibration doesn't rise, it erupts. It becomes uncontrollable, magnetic, untouchable. That's when people will ask what your secret is. But the secret won't be in your words, it will be in your being. But to reach that level, you must pass through a gate that few ever reach, the vibration of full accountability. Not partial, not conditional, not I'll heal when they apologize. Full, radical, brutal self-honesty. And I'll tell you why it's rare. Because it means owning even the parts you didn't cause. It means looking at the pain you inherited and still choosing to release it. It means realizing no one is coming to save you. Not your twin flame, not your guru, not your followers, only you. And the moment you realize that your energy is 100% your responsibility, even if others wound it, is the moment you begin to step into real mastery. Because then you stop waiting, you stop blaming, you stop outsourcing your power to destiny or divine timing. And suddenly the universe starts responding. Not because it finally noticed you, but because you finally noticed yourself. Can you sit with that thought for a moment? Can you allow the weight of that realization to rest on your chest like sacred fire? What would happen if you stopped blaming the world and started sculpting your own frequency like a blacksmith molds steel? What if all your delays weren't the universe's fault, but your soul hesitating to claim its throne? And here's another brutal truth. Some people don't want you to rise, not because they hate you, but because your evolution makes their stagnation harder to justify. Your peace threatens their chaos. Your clarity reveals their fog. And unconsciously, they'll pull at your frequency. They'll poke at your triggers. They'll try to shrink your expansion, not with malice, but with fear. So stop asking for permission to evolve. Stop negotiating your light just to make the room more comfortable for people committed to the dark. Your presence alone is enough to disturb their illusions. That's what a dark chosen one does. Not through noise, but through quiet radiance. Through the silent refusal to stay small. Through the decision to be unshakable, even when misunderstood. This is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming pure. Purity isn't about flawlessness. It's about alignment. Alignment between what you feel, what you believe, and what you do. It's the fire beneath your stillness. The calm that comes not from avoiding chaos, but from mastering it internally. And when you live from that state, you no longer chase energy. You generate it. People feel your field before you speak. Doors open without knocking. And those who are meant to walk with you will find you not because you reached out, but because your vibration made you undeniable. The dark light inside you, turning trauma into sacred authority. You don't become a dark chosen one by having a perfect life. You become one by surviving what should have destroyed you. The trauma wasn't random. The pain wasn't meaningless. The betrayal, the abandonment, the humiliation, it wasn't the universe punishing you. It was initiating you. You see, people love the idea of being chosen until they realize what it costs. Because the path of a dark chosen one is not paved with comfort, it's carved out by loss, by isolation, by being cracked open so wide that the light can finally get in. But here's the turning point most never see. That very darkness you went through wasn't just meant to test you. It was meant to teach you. And when you understand that, your trauma stops being a wound and becomes a weapon, a sacred one. That's when your vibration shifts in a way that can't be faked, because you're no longer vibrating from survival. You're vibrating from sovereignty. But this shift doesn't come from bypassing the pain. It comes from alchemizing it. That means you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What sacred energy was trying to be born through me?" That's a terrifying question, because it forces you to face the part of you that already knows the answer. Maybe you were never meant to be loved in the normal way, because your destiny was to become love itself. Maybe no one believed in you because you were meant to become your own source of belief. Maybe every door closed because you were born to build your own temple. But let me tell you something that no guru, no spiritual influencer, no book can truly prepare you for. When you start turning trauma into power, the world will push back. Not because you're wrong, but because your radiance becomes uncomfortable. People are used to your pain version. They're used to the you that doubts, shrinks, apologizes. But when you start stepping into the dark light inside you, that fusion of pain and purpose, shadow and sovereignty, they won't recognize you. Some will attack. Some will leave. Some will try to lure you back into your old vibration. Not out of hatred, but out of familiarity. Don't fall for it. You've already shed too much skin to crawl back into the shell that once held you. This is the price of authority. Not dominance over others, but dominion over your energy. When your trauma no longer owns your story, you become untouchable. Not because you're above pain, but because you've integrated it. You've stared into your abyss and found a throne there. That's what the dark chosen ones are meant to embody, not just wisdom, but warrior wisdom. Not just peace, but earned peace. A peace that comes after every storm has bowed before you. A peace that no longer negotiates with chaos, but uses it to sculpt clarity. But there's one last thing I must tell you, and it's perhaps the most difficult truth of all. No one will tell you when the shift is complete. There won't be applause, no trumpet sounds, no congratulations, because the real shift happens quietly, silently. In that moment when you stop waiting for external validation and realize you've already become the person you were always meant to be. And from that moment on, your presence does the speaking. Your energy becomes your curriculum. Your silence becomes your sermon. So, if you've been wondering when your power will finally activate, check your relationship with your pain. Are you still worshipping it? Still trying to outrun it? Or have you finally looked it in the eyes and said, "Thank you, I'll take it from here"? Because when you can say that, not as a slogan, but as a vibration, you will no longer be carrying your wounds, you will be wielding them. The frequency of unseen kings claiming your throne without permission. Not every king wears a crown, and not every queen needs a throne to rule. There are beings walking this earth right now, perhaps including you, who hold enough ancient wisdom, magnetic energy, and spiritual force to shape timelines. But no one sees them. Why? Because they were never meant to be recognized by the crowd. They were meant to be remembered by the cosmos. If you're a dark chosen one, you weren't born for applause. You were born for alignment. And this is where the fifth and final vibration trap waits for you, not in failure, but in permission seeking. The unconscious belief that you must first be acknowledged before you're allowed to rise. It's one of the most soul-suffocating traps we fall into. And we don't even realize it's happening. We wait to be seen. We wait to be chosen by others. But here's the eternal paradox: the very moment you stop needing to be chosen is when you activate as the chosen one. Because being chosen was never about external approval, it was about internal remembrance. And when that remembrance erupts inside you, you no longer look for signs, you become one. You no longer ask for clarity. You emit it. You no longer seek guidance. You embody it. That's when your vibration shifts from questioning to commanding. Not commanding others, but commanding energy. That is the signature frequency of a true unseen king or queen. They don't wait to be crowned. They walk like royalty in silence, and the universe adjusts around them. But here's the thing they never told you: your vibration is not something you earn. It's something you clear your way back to. Every low-frequency attachment, every toxic relationship you kept out of guilt, every belief you held out of fear, it's all been layers. Layers that suffocated your true signal. This is why claiming your throne requires loss. You lose illusions. You lose comfort. You lose the version of you who tolerated disrespect, who played small to avoid conflict, who traded sovereignty for belonging. That version has to die, not because it was wrong, but because it was temporary. A cocoon that held your potential. But if you stay in the cocoon, you rot. You were made for the sky. And yet, the moment you break free, another challenge arrives. It's not external, it's internal. It's the echo of old doubts, the ghost voice whispering, "Who do you think you are to shine like this?" And you must answer that voice not with more doubt, but with remembrance. I am the one who was born in silence, forged in darkness, rejected by the world, and remembered by the stars. Say it to yourself, not just once. Every time the old energy tries to pull you back, say it until your bones believe it, because no one else can crown you with what was already written in your aura. And what happens when you truly claim it? When your frequency is so aligned that you no longer second-guess your own light, life begins to bend. People treat you differently without knowing why. Opportunities begin to orbit you. You begin to experience peace that feels earned, not forced. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop chasing closure. You stop shrinking your vibration for people who refuse to rise. And most of all, you stop apologizing for being different. Because now you understand your difference is your design, and your design is your destiny. So ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped asking the world to give you what you already are? What would your life look like if you acted not like someone waiting to be activated, but like someone who already knows they are the frequency that shifts the room? Not from arrogance, not from ego, but from soul certainty. Would you walk the same? Speak the same? Would you still betray your intuition just to keep someone comfortable? Or would you finally walk like a being whose footsteps echo in unseen dimensions? Because here is the secret, the final truth only few are ready to hear. No one is coming to save you, because you are the one they were waiting for. You are the signal others haven't yet heard. You are the mirror for souls ready to awaken. But that begins with you choosing yourself in totality, your shadows, your silence, your scars, your sovereignty, all of it. Because when you walk fully in your own energy, you become untouchable, not because life gets easier, but because you become inevitable. So rise, not because you want to prove anything, not because someone finally noticed you. Rise because the vibration inside you is tired of hiding. Rise because the crown you carry is made of fire and silence and memory, and it fits you perfectly. Rise because the throne was never somewhere you had to find. It was waiting for you in the mirror all along. The dark doesn't mean defeat. It means depth, and your vibration isn't broken. It's becoming. Welcome back, Chosen One. Now rule.